Donald Trump just shook the auto industry, declaring, "All cars have to be made in America now." Could this bold move transform the economy or trigger a global trade war? For years, foreign automakers have dominated the US market, but Trump's new policy demands they shift production entirely to American soil. But what does this mean for car prices? Will US automakers rise to the challenge, or will this backfire on consumers? And how will Trump handle the global backlash? What's happening? Donald Trump is back with a statement that's guaranteed to send shockwaves through the global automotive market. This time, it's not just about tariffs or trade negotiations, it's about the future of car manufacturing in the United States. Trump is calling for a bold shift in how cars are made and sold in America. His message? All cars must be made in America. This sweeping decree isn't just a suggestion, it's a mandate he wants to see enacted as soon as possible. For years, European and Asian automakers have established a strong presence in the US, with brands like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Toyota leading the charge. But now, Trump is demanding that these companies stop relying on factories overseas and start building their vehicles within US borders. He believes that if these foreign manufacturers are going to sell their cars in the US, they should be contributing to American jobs, not just profiting from American consumers. Many might dismiss this as political grandstanding or a pipe dream, but given Trump's track record of shaking up global trade and manufacturing, it's clear that he's serious. The stakes are high, and the implications for the auto industry, already in flux due to electric vehicle trends, could be far-reaching. The immediate question on everyone's mind: how will this bold statement impact the US auto industry? Will American car makers benefit from this push? Will foreign brands comply? Or could we see a trade war of unprecedented scale? It's not just about cars. This announcement is a move that could reshape the entire landscape of US manufacturing. But here's where things get really interesting: the global reaction. Is Trump's decision a power move to reclaim American manufacturing dominance, or a massive gamble? As expected, Trump's announcement has created ripples far beyond the US borders. Car manufacturers across the world are now on edge, wondering how this new policy could affect their production lines. BMW, Volkswagen, and Mercedes-Benz all rely on manufacturing plants in the US to produce the vehicles they sell domestically. Trump's message seems to be a direct challenge to their business model. Take BMW, for instance. Around 60% of the BMWs sold in the US are made in America, but Trump isn't stopping there. He wants all of BMW's operations on US soil, including those high-end luxury models made overseas for the American market. Likewise, Volkswagen, which already assembled over 90% of its vehicles in North America, is likely to feel the pressure to expand production. While foreign manufacturers have increasingly localized their production in the US, Trump's message goes further. It's not enough to simply assemble cars here. He wants these companies to become American manufacturers in every sense of the word. And if they don't comply, expect tariffs, trade barriers, and potential disruptions to their access to the lucrative US car market. The global reaction could either be compliance, where foreign brands scramble to build more plants on US soil, or resistance, which could lead to a trade battle that affects consumers and manufacturers alike. This could be the start of a dramatic shift in how the world views American car manufacturing. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Trump's economic strategy. What if this move was just the beginning of a broader plan to reshape American manufacturing? Behind Trump's bold announcement lies a much deeper economic strategy: the revitalization of US manufacturing. For decades, US industry has seen jobs migrate overseas as companies sought cheaper labor costs and more favorable conditions in countries like China, Mexico, and parts of Europe. Trump's push for Made in America is a direct challenge to this trend. But what's the underlying goal? Trump has long championed the idea of economic nationalism, arguing that the US needs to take back control of its supply chains and ensure that jobs stay in the country. His plan could be more than just about cars. It's a calculated move to reassert America's place as a global manufacturing powerhouse. By pressuring foreign automakers to shift production to the US, Trump is trying to create jobs, strengthen the domestic workforce, and reduce America's dependency on imports. If successful, it could boost manufacturing in states that have suffered from factory closures and job losses over the years. But there are risks involved. Will US workers be able to handle the shift in production, especially in an age where automation and technology are dominating? This economic strategy could lead to massive job creation and a resurgence in American manufacturing. However, it also raises questions about whether US workers are ready for the challenges of an increasingly tech-driven, automated automotive industry. Could Trump's policy create a new era of American-made innovation, or will it push the US into a protectionist corner? But it's not just about jobs and prices. The American consumer's perspective. What does this mean for you, the consumer? When it comes to consumer choices, Trump's push for more made-in-America cars could have a huge impact on the types of vehicles available in the US. Will the shift toward domestic manufacturing lead to a broader selection of cars at competitive prices? Or will it result in higher costs, fewer options, and a narrower selection of vehicles? American consumers have long had access to a variety of foreign-made vehicles, from high-end luxury cars to affordable, fuel-efficient sedans. But if Trump's policy goes into effect, consumers may face higher prices due to the increased production costs of building cars domestically. Will the luxury European brands like BMW and Mercedes-Benz increase their prices to account for new manufacturing costs? On the flip side, the move could have positive effects for US automakers like Ford and General Motors, who may benefit from more support for domestic production. If these manufacturers can build high-quality, affordable vehicles on US soil, it could lead to lower prices and more competitive models for the American consumer. This policy could either elevate American cars or make them harder to afford. Will consumers embrace the idea of supporting American-made vehicles, or will they find themselves paying a premium for a narrower selection of options? Let's fast forward to the future. Foreign automakers under pressure. Imagine being told to uproot your business or face the wrath of the world's largest economy. What would you do? Trump's announcement has placed foreign automakers in a challenging position. Brands like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and even Toyota have been expanding their global operations for decades. Production costs, logistics, and consumer demand. Suddenly, they face an ultimatum: move all production destined for the US to American soil, or risk losing access to one of their most profitable markets. BMW has already invested heavily in its Spartanburg, South Carolina plant, where it manufactures SUVs for the global market. Approximately 60% of the BMWs sold in the US are made there. Yet Trump's demands push for more. He wants high-end models like the BMW 7 Series and Mercedes-Benz S-Class, currently made in Europe, to roll off assembly lines in the United States. This demand raises logistical and financial questions that could reshape the global automotive industry. Volkswagen, which assembles over 90% of its US sold vehicles in North America, might find it easier to comply. However, the additional costs of expanding its American operations could still ripple through the supply chain. For Toyota, which has a substantial presence in the US, the announcement could disrupt its plans to keep certain manufacturing operations in Japan and other parts of Asia. Foreign automakers are caught in a dilemma. If they comply, it could mean higher costs and slimmer profit margins. If they resist, they risk losing access to the US market altogether. This decision will shape their strategies for years to come. But it's not just foreign automakers feeling the heat. American companies are watching closely. The opportunity for American automakers. Is this the golden opportunity American automakers have been waiting for? While Trump's announcement puts foreign companies under pressure, it also presents an enormous opportunity for American automakers like Ford, General Motors, and Tesla. If foreign brands are forced to scale back operations or increase their prices, US carmakers could swoop in and capture a larger market share. Ford, for example, has been doubling down on American-made trucks and SUVs, products that remain immensely popular among US consumers. Trump's policy could bolster Ford's position, allowing it to market its vehicles as authentically American while keeping prices competitive. General Motors, despite facing criticism for its electric vehicle focus, could benefit as well, particularly if it ramps up production of hybrids and gas-powered vehicles that appeal to a broader consumer base. Tesla, however, faces unique challenges. As a pioneer in electric vehicles, much of its manufacturing already occurs in the US, but it relies on international supply chains for key components like batteries. Trump's announcement might push Tesla to invest further in domestic supply chains, a move that could either strengthen its American identity or stretch its resources too thin. This shift could reinvigorate American automakers, giving them a chance to reclaim dominance in their home market. But the question remains, can they meet the demand without raising prices or compromising quality? And while automakers scramble to adapt, global trade relations are taking a dramatic turn. The trade war that could follow. What happens when a single announcement disrupts decades of international trade agreements? Trump's push for Made in America cars could spark a global trade war, with repercussions far beyond the automotive sector. Countries like Germany, Japan, and South Korea, which have invested billions in the US market, are unlikely to accept these changes without a fight. European Union leaders have already expressed concerns, hinting at potential retaliation through tariffs on American goods. Germany, home to automotive giants like BMW and Mercedes-Benz, is particularly vocal. The German government views this as an attack on one of its most vital industries, and they're prepared to respond with measures that could impact everything from US agricultural exports to industrial machinery. Meanwhile, Asian nations like Japan and South Korea are also weighing their options. Toyota and Hyundai, major players in the US market, are exploring ways to mitigate potential losses. Could this lead to a tit-for-tat escalation, with tariffs spiraling out of control and global markets destabilizing? The possibility of a trade war introduces new risks for automakers and consumers alike. Higher tariffs could drive up car prices, disrupt supply chains, and create economic uncertainty that ripples through industries far beyond automobiles. But amidst the turmoil, there's a deeper question to consider. What does this mean for the future of American jobs? The promise of job creation. Could this policy actually bring back the golden age of American manufacturing? One of Trump's key arguments is that this policy will create thousands, if not millions, of jobs for American workers. By forcing automakers to produce vehicles domestically, he envisions a resurgence of factory jobs in states like Michigan, Ohio, and South Carolina, regions that have suffered from decades of deindustrialization. This vision, however, comes with its own set of challenges. Modern car manufacturing relies heavily on automation, meaning that even if production increases, the number of jobs created might be lower than expected. Furthermore, there's the question of whether the American workforce is prepared for the high-tech demands of today's automotive industry. Training programs and education initiatives would be crucial to making this vision a reality. On the flip side, increased domestic production could boost local economies, creating indirect jobs in logistics, infrastructure, and retail. From suppliers of raw materials to dealerships, the ripple effects of this policy could be transformative if executed correctly. The promise of job creation is tantalizing, but the success of this initiative hinges on whether the American workforce and infrastructure can rise to the challenge. If they can, this could mark the beginning of a manufacturing renaissance in the US. As the dust settles, the real question is, how will this policy shape the future of the automotive industry? The cost of moving operations. Relocating factories isn't just a logistical nightmare, it's an economic gamble. For automakers, moving production facilities to the United States is not as simple as setting up shop. It requires billions of dollars in investment, years of planning, and navigating a maze of regulatory hurdles. Companies like BMW and Volkswagen have existing plants in Europe and Asia that are tailored to their needs. Shifting operations could mean abandoning or repurposing these facilities at significant cost. Building new factories in the US also presents challenges. The cost of labor in America is substantially higher than in countries like Mexico or China, where automakers currently source parts and labor. Automakers may face increased pressure to automate their processes further, which could offset potential job creation benefits touted by Trump's policy. Additionally, supply chains optimized for global production could become fragmented. Many components used in cars today are sourced from multiple countries, and relocating factories to the US would require either reshuffling or creating new supply chains altogether. This fragmentation could lead to production delays, increased costs, and reduced efficiency. The real cost of moving operations isn't just financial, it's a strategic pivot that could either position automakers for long-term success or leave them scrambling to recover from disruption. But if automakers are struggling, how will this affect you, the consumer? What this means for car prices. Could Trump's policy make your next car the most expensive one you'll ever buy? While Trump's policy aims to bring jobs back to America, it's likely to have a significant impact on car prices. Relocating production to the US will increase manufacturing costs, and these costs will inevitably be passed on to consumers. Experts estimate that the price of cars could rise by thousands of dollars, particularly for imported brands like Mercedes-Benz and Audi. Even American automakers might not be immune. Although companies like Ford and General Motors already have a significant presence in the US, increased demand for American-made parts and labor could drive up their costs as well. The result? Higher prices across the board. This shift could also reduce consumer choice. Automakers may choose to limit the range of models offered in the US to focus on high-volume, high-profit vehicles. Luxury and niche models might disappear from showrooms, leaving consumers with fewer options. Trump's policy could redefine what it means to shop for a car in America. While some consumers might welcome the emphasis on Made in America, others will feel the pinch of higher prices and fewer choices. And as consumers adjust, automakers are doubling down on strategies to survive this seismic shift. Automakers' survival strategies. When the rules of the game change, the smartest players adapt fast. To navigate Trump's mandate, automakers are exploring new strategies to remain competitive. Vertical integration is becoming a key focus, with companies seeking to control more of their supply chains. For example, Tesla has already invested heavily in battery production facilities like its Gigafactory, and traditional automakers may follow suit by producing more parts in-house. Additionally, Ford is reportedly scaling up its own supply chain operations to meet the demand for domestically made components, setting an example for the industry. Joint ventures and partnerships are also on the rise. By sharing the costs of building and operating US-based facilities, companies can mitigate the financial burden of Trump's policy. For instance, Toyota and Mazda have partnered on a $1.6 billion plant in Alabama, demonstrating how collaboration can offset risks. Similarly, General Motors has teamed up with LG Chem to establish a battery production facility in Ohio, showing how alliances can accelerate progress in the face of new challenges. Additionally, automakers are leveraging technology to reduce costs. From robotics to artificial intelligence, companies are looking for ways to streamline production processes and compensate for higher labor expenses. Advanced manufacturing techniques, such as 3D printing, are also being explored to cut down on prototyping and production timelines, enabling faster and more cost-effective innovation. The strategies automakers adopt today will determine their ability to compete in a radically transformed industry. Those who innovate will survive. Those who don't may be left behind. But this isn't just about automakers. How will this policy impact the American economy as a whole? Could it lead to a manufacturing renaissance or unforeseen economic strain? The broader economic impact. Can America's economy handle the shockwaves of such a drastic policy? Trump's mandate has the potential to reshape not just the automotive industry, but the entire US economy. On one hand, increased domestic production could stimulate economic growth, creating jobs not only in manufacturing, but also in supporting industries like logistics, construction, and retail. States with major auto manufacturing hubs, such as Michigan and Alabama, could see a revitalization of local economies as investment pours into new and existing facilities. However, the policy also comes with risks. Higher car prices could strain household budgets, reducing consumer spending in other areas. Industries that rely on affordable transportation, such as ride-sharing and delivery services, might see their costs rise, potentially passing these expenses on to customers. Small businesses that depend on fleet vehicles may face particularly steep challenges, potentially hindering their ability to grow. There's also the risk of retaliation from foreign governments. If countries like Germany and Japan impose tariffs on American goods in response, it could harm US exporters and escalate into a full-blown trade war. This would have consequences far beyond the automotive sector, affecting agriculture, technology, and other key industries. Additionally, multinational companies may reconsider their US investments, slowing the pace of innovation in some sectors. The economic impact of Trump's policy will ripple across sectors, creating opportunities for some and challenges for others. The ultimate question is whether the benefits of increased domestic production will outweigh the costs. Will the American middle class benefit from these changes, or will they shoulder the financial burden? And as the dust begins to settle, the future of America's automotive landscape is starting to take shape, raising even more questions about how the nation will adapt to this seismic shift. Redefining American-made. Is everything labeled American-made really built on US soil? Trump's bold proclamation has reignited debates about what it means to be American-made. Many vehicles already assembled in the US rely heavily on foreign parts. For instance, while BMW and Volkswagen have plants in the United States, much of their components still come from Europe or Asia. Under Trump's new policy, the definition of Made in America may tighten, requiring companies to source a higher percentage of parts domestically. This shift could bring a resurgence of industries that had all but disappeared. Steel plants, electronics manufacturers, and tire companies could see a boost in demand as automakers scramble to meet stricter requirements. However, achieving true American-made status will require more than assembling cars locally. It will demand rebuilding entire supply chains. The return of domestic industries could create thousands of jobs and restore the manufacturing backbone of the US economy, but it's a monumental task that will test the resolve of automakers and policymakers alike. But how will this policy affect the competition between American and foreign automakers? The global ripple effect. America's decision isn't just about us, it's shaking the world. Foreign automakers face tough decisions. Companies like Toyota, Honda, and Mercedes-Benz have long relied on global supply chains to remain competitive. Trump's mandate forces these companies to reconsider their strategies. While some may choose to expand operations in the US, others might pull out of the market altogether, creating opportunities for American automakers to reclaim dominance. On the flip side, foreign governments might impose retaliatory tariffs on American products, intensifying trade tensions. Such measures could harm not just automakers, but industries like agriculture and technology that depend on exports. For US automakers, the stakes are equally high. Companies like Ford and General Motors must prove they can produce vehicles that are not only American-made, but also affordable and appealing to consumers. Failure to do so could leave them vulnerable to foreign competitors adapting more quickly to the new landscape. The global automotive industry is being reshaped before our eyes. While the US gains an edge in some areas, it risks losing in others if the international community pushes back. And as the global stage adjusts, how will everyday Americans feel these changes? The consumer's perspective. Will buying a car become a patriotic duty or a financial burden? For consumers, Trump's policy could redefine car shopping. On one hand, there's a sense of pride in supporting American-made products. The idea of driving a car that's fully homegrown resonates deeply with many buyers. However, this pride may come at a cost. Higher production expenses could lead to rising sticker prices, forcing some buyers to opt for smaller, less luxurious models or to delay purchasing altogether. Additionally, a narrower selection of imported cars might frustrate buyers who value diversity in their options. Programs like subsidies or tax incentives for purchasing American-made cars could ease the financial burden, but it remains unclear how these measures will be implemented. Meanwhile, the ripple effects of higher costs on industries like ride-sharing and delivery services will further impact everyday consumers. The true cost of this policy won't just be felt in car dealerships. It will ripple through the economy, affecting jobs, transportation, and even how Americans define value. But amidst all this upheaval, what lies ahead for the future of the automotive industry? The future of the American auto industry. Can America reclaim its position as the world's automotive leader? Trump's policy could be a turning point for the US auto industry. If successful, it could spark a manufacturing renaissance, creating jobs and revitalizing communities. Automakers that adapt quickly could emerge stronger, setting new standards for efficiency and innovation. The policy also accelerates the shift towards sustainable technologies. Companies may use this opportunity to double down on electric and hybrid vehicle production, appealing to environmentally conscious consumers while meeting evolving global standards. However, the path forward is fraught with challenges. Balancing the cost of domestic production with consumer affordability will require ingenuity and investment. Automakers will need to innovate at an unprecedented pace to remain competitive in a rapidly changing market. The future of the American auto industry hinges on the choices made today. Whether Trump's vision succeeds or stumbles, it will shape not just cars, but the economy, the environment, and the very fabric of American identity. So, what do you think? Will Trump's bold mandate revive American manufacturing, or is it a gamble that could backfire? Are you ready to pay more for a car if it means supporting American jobs, or do you think there's another way forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.